Okay, so let's do these three practice problems, okay? They are using Pythagorean Theorem, and we're trying to solve the missing side. So looking at these, there's three sides to this triangle. Of course, this one's the one that's missing, this one's the one that's missing, and this one's the one that's missing. What does a right triangle mean to you?
A right triangle is a triangle that has at least one right angle.
Okay, and what degree is that right angle that you're talking about?
90 degrees.
Okay, so the right angle here is going to be 90 degrees, as well as here, and as well as here. Now, what equation did you probably talk about in class that dealt with the Pythagorean theorem?
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Okay, so a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now, what do these letters mean?
The c squared, or the c, the variable for this, I think that this is the hypotenuse.
It is.
And the hypotenuse is the side length that is across from the right angle.
Good. I was just about to tell you. Identified from across the right angle, this is your hypotenuse. Identified across opposite side from your right angle is your other hypotenuse. And then finally this 90 degree, the 5 would be the hypotenuse. Now you notice this one has the variable in it, and these other two actually have a number there already. So you can actually manipulate this in the sense of, I'm using this equation when I have the two legs and I'm trying to solve for c. I'm trying to solve for the hypotenuse. So let me go ahead and write those down. The legs and the hypotenuse. Now I'm going to try to give an equation that already has my values for the hypotenuse, and I'm trying to find one of the legs. How would I manipulate this equation? What would I write?
If you're trying to find one of the legs, you would write c squared minus b squared equals a squared.
Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set this one up for number 1 and try to find our x value. How would you write this as an equation?
It doesn't really matter what side length is a or b, so I would say 2 squared plus 6 squared equals b squared.
Correct. Now why doesn't it matter?
Well, because there's not just because of multiplication. I can't remember.
It's because it's an addition problem. If I had 2 plus 4, I'd get 6. If I do 4 plus 2, don't I still get 6?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why, because addition doesn't have an order. It is similar to multiplication, as you were pointing out. Multiplication doesn't have an order. If I had 2 times 4, I'd get 8. If I had 4 times 2, I'd still get 8. So you are correct with that. So let's go ahead and write 2 squared plus 6 squared is equal to x squared. Well, what does 2 squared give us?
2 squared gives you 4.
How about 6 squared?
6 squared is going to give you 36.
Okay, is equal to x squared. So now what do I write?
You would do 40 equals x squared, or you could say c squared, but then you would have to square root each side.
Good job. Square rooting both sides gives us a value of x is approximately equal to, or it's equal to the square root of 40, or as a decimal answer, which your teacher may ask for, you put into your calculator the square root of 40, and you get approximately 6.3. So coming over here, you could put 6.3. So as an answer here, you could put 6.3 or the square root of 40. Okay, now let's go ahead and look for this missing side. Now, like I told you before, if we have our hypotenuse, we're going to use this equation that you came up with. So go ahead and set me up an equation to solve for x.
You would say 61 squared minus 11 squared equals x squared.
Good. Now 61 squared, do you know that?
I think that's 3,721.
Let's figure it out. 61 squared. Yep, 3,721. And we're going to 3,721 subtract 11 squared. What's 11 squared?
121.
121. We get x squared. So 3,721, go ahead and grab that, minus 121 is going to give us 3600. So x squared is equal to 3600, which what do we do now?
Then you would have to square root your answers.
Yep, square root. And with my calculator, the square root of 3600 is going to give us 60. So this time we have a whole number answer. We don't have to worry about leaving it with the square root sign or leaving it in decimal form. So x would equal 60. Okay, so I'll go ahead and write that over here. X equals 60. Now let's go ahead and solve for our last x. How would I set it up as an equation?
Just like number 2, you would say c squared minus b squared equals a squared.
Correct. So now put numbers with it.
Put numbers with it? Alrighty. 5 squared minus 4 squared equals x squared.
Correct. What is 5 squared?
5 squared is 25.
Minus 16 is equal to
9. Oh, is equal to x squared.
X squared. Yep, this on the left is equal to 9, so 9 is equal to x squared. And how do I get my x at the very end?
You have to square root.
Square root, because that's the opposite of squaring. So x is equal to 3, therefore my answer is x is equal to 3. Good job.
Okay.
So my 3 answers are the following. I have 6.3 or square root of 40. I have 60 for this leg, and I have x is equal to 3. Good job.